Legislature is called to order. Prior to the recess for dinner, there was a question on the germaneness of the amendment proffered by Senator Rodriguez onto Bill number 19. And for record purposes, in reviewing both bills, is that in Bill 19, taxes were being imposed to gaming that is considered legal in the books for nonprofit organizations. On Bill 20, taxes are being posed for illegal gambling for profit. And on page 6, the authorization for licenses, that's on the amendment, where devices are being, the income on all gaming devices authorized. So we're now authorizing it to be licensed versus in 19, it's already in the code. In addition, on page 6, where it talks about the development of the necessary forms, it is now telling the department what to do on the basis of 3 GAR, which are rules and not necessarily law. In addition, on page 12, there is now the establishment of a whole new program, which is the Urgent Healthcare Center. And on page 14, on rules section 6 and 7, is that we're making a rule consistent with 3 GAR, and it has nothing to do with taxing. On section 7, there are changes on the definition of F, which is to legitimize rule versus law, and it has nothing to do with taxes, and instead by 11 GCA chapter 22 section 22202 is the new definition now of amusement devices, because that definition has been taken out. And based on those, I have ruled that the amendment is non-germane.
Madam Speaker,
Yes, Senator.
I move to overrule your decision.
Speaker Pangilinan.
You know, Madam Speaker, when we started this session, the good majority leader, after you explained everything, rose and thanked you for your degree of reasonableness and assurances that this body would proceed and would allow discussion on everything that would occur. And then all of a sudden, you know, we get this. It just, to me, I just can't see, you know, where we're going when we've already had these commitments. You gave your word, and then they pull something like this. It's just so, I don't know, Madam Speaker. I just find that, you know, this, to me, it's just, we all want to play by the rules, but everybody was complaining about all these different tactics, and now they're pulling the same thing, and they think this is all fine and dandy, and that there's no inconsistency here and so forth. So I just hope that nobody cries again if anybody pulls any other kind of procedure here, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they were all crying, in terms of that, oh my God, you can't be doing that. You're doing that to stall this and all this and so forth. And then this is what we
Madam
get.
Speaker, personal privilege. I don't think members cry here.
Senator Agan.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I hate to perhaps put one of our colleagues to task on this one, but because his name is really at the top of the primary legislation that is being considered, with all due respect, I'm going to request that if in fact he allows this, not the members of the body as a total, but if he allows this or he concurs to it being considered in terms of overruling your decision, then certainly we can proceed forward. Otherwise, if by any chance he has any reservations, Madam Speaker, I'm going to implore that our colleagues give that due consideration. Because really this is the legislation that he has sponsored, and he is trying to get through this body in the format that ultimately the body is going to decide, whatever amendments are going to be incorporated. And that's one of the concerns that I have. And I certainly stand in support of your ruling, Madam Speaker, that this proposal is not germane. And it goes back to the immediately preceding statement that was made by the good speaker. Madam Speaker, you have been fair throughout this entire process. You allowed us to consider 2 additional legislative matters with the understanding that upon conclusion of the discussion of the second proposal, that you will entertain requests to go back to motions and to place any particular proposal on the legislative floor for additional discussion and consideration. I thought that that was extremely generous / professional on your part in terms of being able to provide an amenable approach in ultimately trying to accommodate all of our colleagues. So, Madam Speaker, like I said, I would hate to have the good sponsor of this legislation have a significantly impactful proposal or amendment tagged on to his legislation if in fact it's not something that he would outrightly concur to. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Senator Dueñas, you're recognized as the author of Bill 19.
Madam Speaker, I rise to register my objection and concur with the good speaker from Barragata in his objection with regard to germaneness. Madam Speaker, I believe we have 2 proposals before us. And I believe that and I'm ready to close on Bill 19 after this deliberation is done, if this amendment maintains and stays within Bill 19. So, Madam Speaker, in addressing this issue at this point, I simply want to state that I agree once again with the objection on the basis of germaneness. And I would ask those, particularly as respect was discussed about earlier, particularly with the senator and the mover of Bill 20, to allow Bill 20 to stand on its own, to stand alone and be voted on. And I'll discuss the reason for that in the closing of 19 if this continues or either way. But I support that objection, and I believe that both of these proposals have merit, Madam Speaker, but they do not belong together. Hypocrisy notwithstanding, which I will discuss in the closing of Bill 19. Madam Speaker, they are clearly at this point two separate issues, and so I hope the body will resolve to register this as non-germane and have us have a discussion on two standalone issues. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is there anybody else who would like to contribute to the discussion? Senator Yamashita.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak on the question of germaneness. And with all due respect to your ruling, I listened and I heard what you said, and this is what I was thinking. The reason why I agreed and I thought there was I think there are similarities is because both bills are trying to get revenues from gaming opportunities. 19 is from GNOC. The amendment to 19, which was 20, was from certain gaming machines. 19 would go towards fields. 20, the amendment would go towards Guam Memorial Hospital. So for me, it was taking revenues from gaming to go towards something to better the quality. And the question of the legitimacy of the gaming machines, while there is opinion by some that they are illegitimate, for me, Madam Speaker, as I've said before, the fact of the matter is they are licensed, and they are paying business licenses, and GRTs are being collected. So those monies can go, for me, my concern is the vendors at GMH, those monies are already collected, they can go straight to the vendor payments. So that's how I saw that they are very similar. And so I just wanted to offer that, Madam Speaker, to help you know what I am thinking. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak? So there is a motion then to overrule the chair's decision on the non-germaneness of this amendment. So those then who would like to overrule the chair's decision, please raise your hand. The motion carries. You know, so much has happened last night and this morning and this afternoon. So what I'm going to do this evening, you may not agree with, but I'm going to call for recess sua
Madam Speaker,
sponte until Monday,
point of order,
July
Madam Speaker.
1st at 9 a.m. Guam has the privilege of having a president position of APIL in which two delegates, Senator Respicio and Senator Dueñas, will be attending, and Senator Muñoz Barnes and Senator Tony Ada will be going as observers. So therefore, we will recess when we return on Monday, July 1st.
Well,
9
Madam
a.m.
Speaker, objection.